Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Five Star Joshi Show here on the Fight Game Media Network and, of course, my YouTube channel. I am your host, Scott Edwards. Thank you, everyone, for listening here today. Another big time episode. So, today's episode will kind of be a three-parter. In the early going, I'm going to talk some Stardom preview Path of Thunder 2025, which happens this Monday, because it's a holiday in Japan. And then from there, I'm going to welcome Xavi to the show. We're going to review Marigold and look ahead, based off their Korakuen at what to expect moving forward. And at the end of the show, if you are on audio only, my interview that went up on Thursday on my YouTube channel with Hyan will be available at the end of the podcast. So if you are on audio listening, whether it be Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, that will be at the end of our conversation here today to close out the show. So, if you are watching on YouTube, you can just go check out the Hyan video at the video on the channel. But if you are listening on audio, that will be available to you at the end of the day. So, a big time packed show here today, covering so much around the world of Joshi wrestling. So, let's get right into this, shall we? Because Stardom has a big time weekend coming ahead. So, Stardom, we're not going to review too much of their past weekend because I think we can better include that throughout the previews. And there is also a show on Saturday, so they have one final push ahead of the Path of Thunder show. So we're not going to review each and every show. I don't think that's necessary right now. But what we are going to do is discuss the two big shows this upcoming weekend for them, starting with, of course, the non-shows for them, but a major, major match coming up. If you know by now, at AEW Grand Slam Australia, Momo Watanabe was in attendance for both that and Ring of Honor, and she announced on AEW Dynamite that her Wrestle Dynasty International Women's Cup win brought her the decision to pick who she wanted to challenge, and she challenged Mercedes Monet for the TBS Championship. That match will be happening at AEW Revolution on March 9th. Momo will be the second competitor in the history of the title from Stardom to challenge. Of course, it was Tam Nakano who challenged Willow Nightingale last year, and of course Mina Shirakawa as well, who challenged or put her belt on the line, I should say, at Wrestle Dynasty. But in terms of straight up matches for the TBS title, Momo Watanabe is second. So congratulations to Momo. This is all obviously also a rematch from Capital Collision last year, where Momo challenged Mercedes for the New Japan Strong Women's title. So obviously, very excited to see Momo Watanabe step into the spotlight once again and face Mercedes Monet. It is also worth noting that this will be the fourth singles title challenge for Momo Watanabe in the past year, dating back to April of last year. Momo Watanabe challenged for the World of Stardom Championship against Micah in the main event of All Star Grand Queendom, and of course, came up short. Fast forward to that Capital Collision show where she came up short for the New Japan Strong Women's title. Fast forward once more, historic crossover two. She challenged Mayu Iwatani for the IWGP Women's Championship, and of course, came up short. So, could she come up short once again for a fourth time, or will this be Momo Watanabe's time to finally get the big win? That is what we are waiting for. Obviously, we will all be rooting for her. Um, but I don't feel great about it. I don't feel great about her getting the big win, but we will see. Next up on the document here, of course, is none other than this upcoming weekend's shows, because Stardom never stops. So this Saturday, it will be Momokogo and going one-on-one with Akira Kuragane. Then we'll have Yuna Mizumori versus Rana Yagami versus Rian versus Fuki Death. Mind you, this is in Sendai, not the Sendai pit, but it is in Sendai. Mayu Utami, Hazuki, and Koguma, they'll team up to face Saki Kashima, who makes her grand return after being out a couple weeks. Welcome back to Saki Kashima. Saki Kashima will team with Lady C and Yuria Hime. Obviously, a good time to wish a belated happy birthday to one Mayu Iwatani, who has celebrated her 32nd birthday this past Wednesday. The greatest of all time, my GOAT, the icon of Stardom, Stardom's greatest wrestler. The list goes on and on and on. The reigning, defending IWGP Women's Champion. I hope she had a great birthday this past weekend. Then we'll have Maika Wakasukiyama and Hanako team up. They'll face the team of Natsupoi Seriano and Aya Sakura. And in the semi-main event, kind of a replay from this past weekend, which is why I didn't want to necessarily review everything that they had going on. So from this past weekend, it was the babyface team of Tam Nakano, Sayaka Kurara, Shuri, and Kyoko Kotatsu teaming up. They'll face the team of Saya Kamatani, Natsuko Tora, Momo Watanabe, and Konami. So this is an important matchup for obvious reasons, I think. This is a preview tag for Path of Thunder. We know the stakes at hand for Tam Nakano and Saya Kamatani. And we'll talk about it here in a second when we get to the Path of Thunder preview. But the same goes for Shuri and Kyoko Kotatsu. They are both in a feud here with Konami. Konami is continuously going towards Kotatsu and, of course, wants that redemption match with Shuri. So this will be an interesting one. I would expect after the babyfaces got the win last weekend that the heels get the win and the momentum heading into Path of Thunder. And then in the main event of Sendai on Saturday, it should be a good one. It'll be Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid, Miyu Amasaki, Mei Sarah, Suzuki, and Azumi teaming up to face all of their competitors here. Of course, Azumi and Ruaka are both not defending. Not Ruaka. Um, of course, it will be champions and challengers and so on. So, as we know at Path of Thunder, it will be Starlight Kid versus Rina. As we also know, it will be the tag champs Wing Gori defending against Crazy Star, and Miyu Amasaki will be defending her title against Hina. So, Ruaka and Azumi additions here to aid their partners. So, with that being said, it's Starlight Kid trying to lead her team to victory and get some momentum. There has not been any momentum between Starlight Kid and Rina. They have went to draws after draws. They have not been able to pin one another, which I think is interesting. We've seen the other champions and other challengers pin each other a number of times over the past week. Hina pinned Miyu Amasaki, for example. Um, Obviously, Crazy Star and Wing Gori haven't got to do most of their previews. This marks the return of Saida from her hand injury, so welcome back to her as well. Um, but this match should be great. This is a great main event to prepare you for Path of Thunder. Whether this show airs live or not, I'm not sure, but it's going to be one you want to check out before Path of Thunder airs at 11:30 Eastern on Sunday night. And then we get to, of course, the Path of Thunder pay-per-view. The Path of Thunder pay-per-view is this Monday in the hometown of Hanan, Hina, Rina, and Yuria Hime. It is, of course, in Tochigi, so we will celebrate these wrestlers. As often comes with a Stardom pay-per-view these days, the undercard is just, pretty house show type matches, but the top of the card is what it's all about. So let's dive into it here. The opening match on the evening for Yuri Hime's homecoming. She will go one-on-one with Mayu Iwatani. So this is always fun. I always appreciate when Mayu is put into the singles action against a rookie. I think that is always quite exciting. and exactly what you kind of want to see here. So I'm looking forward to that. In the next match, I'm losing my voice here, as you can tell. I've been sick, so I apologize. In the next match, will be Natsupoi Sayoriano, Ai Sakura, and Yuna Mizumori. They'll face the God's Eye team of Tomoka Inaba, Rana Yagami, Saki Kashima, and Lady C. Worth noting, Sayoriano and Natsupoi announced that they will be holding a 10th anniversary show at Oda Ward. I don't remember if I brought that up last week, but they'll be holding that on May 31st. So something to look forward to there. Then in four-way action will be Azumi versus Waka Tsukiyama versus Akira Kurigane versus Fukigen Death. Fukigen Death has been getting a lot of these wins as she prepares for her title match against May Sarah at the upcoming Korakuen Hall show on March 3rd. And then we'll have three-way trios action. It'll be Hazuki, Koguma, and Momokogo teaming up. They'll face the teams of Maika, Hanako, and Ryan, as well as Momo Watanabe, Tekla, and Ruaka. Now we really get to the meat of the card here, the interesting stuff, the stuff that has some meaning, and that begins, of course, here with Shuri and Kyoko Kotatsu facing off with Konami and Azusa Inaba. So both veterans get their young competitors that they're both teaching up, and I think Kotatsu and Azusa Inaba is a fascinating duo to throw in there. Obviously, very similar with their backgrounds and how they go about. So that's obviously worth talking about. But of course, this is going to come down to Shuri and Konami as we build towards their inevitable singles match. I would start to assume that's probably going to be like the Cinderella final, because that's kind of the main big shows coming up. We don't know how the Cinderella is going to be done this year yet. Of course, it's coming up very, very soon, but we don't know if it's going to be, like last year with no former Wonder or World of Stardom champions. Is it going to be like previous years where it's just everybody? We'll have to wait and see. But obviously, all roads lead to Shuri versus Konami in some form. It also feels like we are leading towards Konami versus Kyoko Kotatsu, which is a fascinating match as well. I would assume here, based on the two teams, it really depends where or who they want the momentum to go to. I kind of look at it and I think that Shuri could use some momentum considering the big matches she does have coming up beyond the uh upcoming match with Konami. Obviously, she'll be facing Sari in a match that seemingly will determine the number one contender for the IWGP Women's Championship. So that's something we're waiting on here. Um, so yeah, I would have Shuri and Kyoko Kotatsu win. I feel like it could be a very heel night depending on the next tag. But the next tag is really the main story point of this entire show. So let's get to it. The next match will be Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kurara going against Saya Kamitani and her partner of her choosing, which ended up being Natsuko Tora. So obviously there was some fear here from myself, from others, that maybe the X that's would team with Saya Kamitani would be none other than the Cosmic Angels young star Aya Sakura. I did not want that. I think Aya Sakura is doing just fine in what position she's in within the company right now. So I did not want them to go that direction. And thankfully, they did not. Instead, Kamatani will call in the help of Tora. Uh, and this match is simple. The rules are as follow. If Tam Nakano wins, Sai Kamatani will grant her any request she has, which of course would be a World of Stardom Championship match. But if Saya Kamatani and Natsuko Tora win, Sayaka Kurara has to leave Cosmic Angels for hate. It's been a long time since we've had a match like this where a wrestler and their future is kind of on the line. I think it's always fascinating when you get into a situation like this, what makes the most sense to make the story interesting. And for me, it's hard to argue that a Saya Kamatani Natsuko Tora win is the most fascinating and interesting direction to go here. Obviously, that creates an intrigue when it comes to Sayaka Kurara joining Hate. But of course, I think a lot of people have thought to themselves that that could have been the case dating back to Stardom Dream Queendom. This has been the continued story between Tam Nakano and Saya Kamatani, right? It's always been Carrara in the middle, and they went a little bit away from it at the end of last year, but they have really harped on it this time around as Tam Nakano tries to get redemption against Kamatani. Right now, I think the most interesting way to go is, in fact, Hate winning because I think that creates doubt and gives them time presume and we're assuming here, or I'm assuming here, that Tam Nakano will be the challenger for the World of Stardom Championship at All Star Grand Queendom, right? We have to kind of wait and see when it comes to that, right? We have to wait and see. We have to understand are they waiting till then, or will it be the Cinderella final where they put these two head to head? Because of the size of the match, because of the popularity of the wrestlers, you would I think, shift your focus towards All-Star Grand Queendom. But if that ends up being Micah coming back around, which that would be the only other option, I think, for the World of Stardom title match at that show, um, it starts to make you wonder, could Tam Nakano try to come back around, do whatever she can to try to get back Sayaka Carrara and the World of Stardom Championship, possibly. Could Carrara just be in Hate moving forward? I think that's possible as well. There's a lot of interesting story beats to this match, and it's why this match is indeed so exciting. Could Carrara just turn her back on Tam Nakano in the end? That is the story at hand, and it's the power of Saya Kamatani these days that makes this so interesting. So, this is the match. I'm picking Hate. I think that's the most interesting story play. Once Tora got picked, it was like, how do you beat them? Obviously a roll up or something is always a possibility, but I do think that this is the direction to go. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it should be a great match. Now we move on to the next match here, which is one that I'm very excited for. And that, of course, is the Future of Stardom Championship. Miyu Amasaki defends against Hina. So there's a lot of things at play here. Obviously, Miyu Amasaki is at the buzzer when it comes to the ability to hold this championship. It is a 3-year time limit, and her time limit expires in March. Um, I have played with the idea that perhaps the new regime allows the champion to hold this title past the expiration date per se that you can hold this belt as a competitor, right? It's either under a certain age or 3 years, and Amasaki will have to drop it based on the rules previously, and the rules do remain in play. They use rules for the new blood tag belts as well. Um, but if that is a possibility that she can hold the title beyond the date and just can't come back and challenge for it again once she loses it, that's an interesting possibility. However, this is a homecoming show for Hina. Hina has challenged for this title before and has come up short before. Hina's a great wrestler. Like Hina doesn't get the, I think, love and excitement that, of course, like the Hanans and Rina gets, her sisters, because, those two are just so impressive and far ahead, but Hina's a great competitor. It's just those two are, some of the best prospects in all of wrestling, obviously. Rina challenging for the Wonder of Stardom title after all. Um, and Hanan having won the Cinderella last year and defending a belt this time around. It's almost unfair to Hina because, like I said, she's very good. And I think there's a reason to believe that this will be her moment, right? We've seen Hanan win the future Stardom title, have her reign. We've seen Rina do the same. These two have history, obviously, both being in Queen's Quest. So I don't know. the direction in terms of where we go for the Future Stardom title post this match, but I do know that Hina should be the one walking out with the win. Hina deserves this time. Hina deserves this win. And I think because the main event is likely to go a different way, you want the big homecoming win for at least two of the sisters. And I think Hina is the one to get it and become the new Future Stardom champion. Yu Amasaki has been a fantastic, fantastic Future Stardom champion and a Future Stardom champion challenger. But I think here is when we see the change. And I think Hina will indeed be the new champion at the end of Path and Thunder, which I welcome and excited for her after all the work she's put in. The next match is the match I'm most excited about. It is the first defense for Gori since winning the Goddesses of Stardom championships at Stardom Dream Queendom 2024, and they will defend against Crazy Stars May Sarah and Suzuki. Obviously, there's a lot at play here, right? First of all, first defense for Gori, a duo that I don't think should be losing these titles anytime soon. The other or the major thing at play here, I think, is the fact that Suzuki has one more shot to win a championship as no matter what happens for Miyu Amasaki, she'll have a title at the end of this show. For Suzuki, if she loses, if her and May Sarah lose here, Suzuki will be the only member of Neo Genesis without gold. And I think that creates a very fascinating story moving forward if that ends up being the case. Suzuki, someone who, of course, was so close to the mountaintop so many times dating back to 2023, winning the 5-star Grand Prix, coming up short for the World of Stardom Championship. Fast forward to, of course, earlier this year, once again, close to the World of Stardom Championship. At the end of last year, close to the World of Stardom Championship. 3 shortcomings. This is a big match for her. It's a big match for Gori. Really, the only person that I guess is fine from this is May Sarah, but May Sarah, I feel like her time with the high speed title is getting towards its end. I think Yuna Mizumori, for example, is someone who is a real option. I also think that you never know with Fuki and Death and Hate, but I do think Yuna Mizumori wins that title. So this is a fascinating match. I think Gori's winning. That creates the story for Suzuki. But I will say this, maybe the most important part of this match. It's going to be the best match of the show. This can not only be one of the best matches of the show, it can be one of the best tag team matches of the year from start to finish. Like, I feel like these two teams can set the precedent for tag team wrestling this year. I really do. That's how great I think these two teams are. That's how good I know these two teams are. They've only had one tag match against each other previously. So it'll be interesting to see how these two teams mesh. But there's the biggest part for me. Yes, the Suzuki story. Yes, first defense for Gori. But my favorite part of all this is the continued feud between Hanan and May Sarah. This is a feud that has been bubbling since the end of 2023 when they went to a 15-minute time limit draw at New Blood West 1. Ever since then, they haven't faced off in singles. They've only faced off in tag teams, and they've kept that energy each and every match they've had. So you look at this matchup, you wonder, what can this look like? What can this match look like? Will it be focused on those two? And I hope it is in the end. Obviously, Ida's back. Obviously, Suzu's telling her own story, but I've been waiting for Hana and May Sarah to be face to face with one another in a high capacity, big time, important match. This is what it's all about. This is why we watch, folks. I can't not wait. I'll be watching the show live for sure. And then, of course, your main event of the evening. Rina in her hometown will challenge for the Wonder Star Championship for the first time in her career. She'll go one-on-one with Starlight Kid. This was Starlight Kid's first title defense as well since winning the belt at Stardom Dream Queendom 2024. I don't think making a pick is really the conversation for this match. I think it's very apparent. Starlight Kid will be walking away as the winner, as she should, because one, we've been waiting for this reign, and two, she's been waiting for this reign. She deserves this reign. The main conversation here is how great of a match can Rina put on in her first opportunity. Last year, Hanan had her first opportunity at the Wonder Star Championship against Seriano. I think that ended up being Seriano's best defense overall. Hanan had a fantastic performance while coming up short. Rina can do the same. Rina is someone that this company has got behind in full force. They have believed in, and it's understandable. She has made strides and strides and strides over the past year to the point where not only does this match make sense, this match feels like a must. This is a match that I predicted in my predictions this year. I didn't think it would come this soon. I thought maybe a Cinderella win would be possible for Rina, but that does not seem to be where they need to go here. Instead, Rina will go one-on-one in Tochigi with Starlight Kid for the belt. Uh, as time has gone on and you look at this match, obviously it's a great match and very exciting match, but you get a bit emotional because Rina has started to point out like what this match means to her and who this match is for. Um, she brought it up in her presser the other day. She wants to win this belt for someone. And of course, that someone, if anyone knows, or if anyone knows history, is of course Hana Kimura, someone that Rina was so close to um, through her younger years, right? If you know the famous Stardom draft moment in 2019, where Rina is the last pick. She is crying because she's a kid and no one had picked her and everyone was ready to move on. And Hana Kimura just, cuts this lovely thing saying, "You remind me of me," and brought her into Tokyo Cyber Squad. And ever since then, there's been that connection. Um, I know that Rina isn't going to win this title on Monday, but she is going to win this title one day. That is for certain. And it's going to be emotional when she does, but it's going to be emotional when she comes close. She does her variation of the hydrangea. There's a good chance she goes for the Tiger Lily package pile driver in this match, and that will be such a moment if she does. And it will be the day that she does hit it that she is winning this championship. This is the championship that Hana Kimura was destined to win. And while it didn't happen, obviously, I think Rina does so well at bringing Hana Kimura with her. And yeah, it's just going to be an emotional roller coaster watching her step into her first Wonder match and, you know, doing everything she can to remind us of why Hana was so special and why Rina is not just the future, but she is the now. I think that is a big part of this championship match as well. This will be this will be Rina proving to the world that she's ready. This will be Rina proving to the world that she's ready for anything. Anyone that might still be doubting her for some reason after the great future of Stardom title reign, after the great new blood tag belt reign, they're gonna learn that this is her time. This is her time, and I can't wait to see her shine in this match. But that is Path of Thunder 2025. We'll be reviewing that show next week. I'm very excited, as you can tell. These big three title matches are everything. We'll see the fallout from the Tam Nakano Saya Kamatani stuff and so on and so forth. But before we pivot to the big Marigold review, I do want to bring up Sendai Girls from this past weekend because the real is happening, folks. Double real. So they had a show in Sendai Pit that was very solid. The match I want to highlight it was Sari and Chi Chi versus Eureka Oka and Maria. Sari's only match of February, mind you. This was really, really good. Eureka Oka is on a different level these days. And despite no Mio Momono by her side, she did everything to bring Bubble Bubble Momo Banana to the match, to the ring. Maria even wore the hat, which was a cool moment. Sari and Yurika Oka. Listen, Yurika Oka doesn't have a match yet on the top of Joshi Wrestling. I want that to be a singles match for her and Sari. I think that is the perfect direction to go. Give Yurika Oka the big singles. I think she deserves it after this past year. Right, with no Mio Momono around, I think that should be the direction we go. But we'll have to wait and see. But the big news coming from that show is one, Chi Chi will be defending the junior championship against Aya Sakura at the top of Joshi Wrestling on the 19th after Aya Sakura laid down the challenge earlier in this show and Chi Chi accepted. So Chi Chi versus Aya Sakura 3 is locked in for this show, and I couldn't be happier. Their first two matches have just been unbelievably good considering where they are in their careers. I assume the third will be their best of the trilogy. So I can't wait for that. Also, at the end of the Sendai Pit show, Chi Chi and Sari officially challenged Red Energy for the tag belts. So that will be happening soon. I'm going to assume after the top of Joshi Wrestling, as Yuna stepped up and wanted to be part of the match. So at the Sendai Pit show on the first, it'll be Sari and Chi Chi versus Mika Owada and Yuna. But it looks like Sari and Chi Chi are well on their way to potentially winning tag gold, which is very exciting. But that is it for the Sendai girls portion here. They just continue to kill it. Worth checking out that show if you haven't. I really enjoyed it. But like I said, we're going to head over to the Marigold portion. And then after that, of course, the High interview if you're on audio only. But with Marigold having such a big show today, it's only right that we dive into that. So let's get to it and welcome Xavi to the show. And we're back with part 2 of the 3-part 5-star Joshi show today. And with me, like I promised, was Xavi to review the Marigold Korakuen Hall show from Thursday evening over in Japan. Xavi, how are you?
I'm feeling great. This is like the first time in forever I've had back-to-back days off, so good way to start off the first of those two with a Marigold Korakuen.
It's real. That's real. And it worked out. It worked out for you. You know, you get to watch this show and now you get to record. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Um, So overall, I thought this was one of their best shows to date, truthfully, from top to bottom, right? I think there's many times with Marigold, you kind of walk away from the last two matches, you're like, oh, that was a great show, and then like, you know, if you look back at the rest of the card, you're like, okay, maybe like it wasn't a perfect show. However, this time it felt like it was a very complete cork in top to bottom. I thought the opening
Hmm.
tag really put them on a strong trajectory. I don't think they had like a match of the year or anything, but they had, I thought, three great matches.
Hmm.
Um, Pretty much just building to the big time main event. And yeah, I think there's a lot to talk about overall because I think that we are seeing a lot really happen in Marigold all of a sudden that was really highlighted on this show. So how did you enjoy the show overall before we kind of get into it match by match?
No, I'm of the same opinion of I thought this was a great show because like you said, there was three great matches. While you probably wouldn't say they were match of the year. I mean, it depends how you feel about the tag. It could be one of your matches of the year. Um, I think it was a gradual progression. Like each
Mm,
match got better with as they've gone up the card. I think every match going forward was better than the last, and I thought the opener was a really good opener with a bunch of inexperienced people, which usually those are the low lights on Marigold shows, is where they have the rookies try to piece things together. But I think the attack held up very well.
yeah.
And I think this show is what I've been begging for since First Dream, which has been
Mhm.
my big knock on them, is there hasn't been a lot of movement since First Stream. It just seems like the stuff they have done was just passerby stuff that just didn't
Yeah.
really have any real impact. Although I love that Nozaki and my title match, but it just seemed like they were just kind of doing whatever. I feel like coming out of this show, it's hard not to be excited because we got so much movement from depth wise to teams, units, whatever you want to say. We got so much stuff to look forward to now, which is something I've been begging for, which is some sort of direction. And not only that, you have some direction with a few of the belts as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I feel like, as I said at the top of the year, it really feels like we as a overall Joshi fans should move on from any comparisons that people like to make between the top company and Marigold, right? Like, there's no need. Like, people still like to do that,
I
and I
don't I don't like comparing most companies to each other because
I agree.
they're all different. They're
Yeah,
all vastly different. It's like this
there's a
company,
reason no one compares anyone to New Japan in Puro,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's like,
they're far enough the first company. Even in their worst year, they are still the top company.
yeah,
Um, and I think with Marigold, I think unless you're just a flat out hater of Marigold, which um I think it's unfair to the roster because realistically, you hate Rossi and you're passing that on to the roster.
yeah,
I'm just gonna call it how it is. Uh,
yeah,
we have, I think, other unless you're one of those people, we have finally, I think, some of the Joshi fans who probably got in over their head, as we all did with the start of this company. We're now realizing, hey, this
yeah.
company is not even a year in yet. They don't have any financial backing. They have a lot of inexperienced talent. So we just gotta let them grow and let everything come together,
Mhm.
hopefully at the perfect time.
Yeah, and it feels like that's what we're seeing. It feels like this show is the ultimate, like, okay, see, now you see pieces coming together that
Hmm.
really makes the next couple months leading into Shine Forever very exciting. So that's what I'm really excited about. But let's get into it with the first match of the show, which I thought, again, like I said, kind of started off on a strong note. It was Riara and Seto defeating Yuki Minami and Ryoko Sakamura in tag team action. You have to remember, again, all of these wrestlers are very new to wrestling.
They're under 2 years
Um,
experience.
right. Like, Riara's the vet,
Yeah,
kind
she's like
of.
a year and a half in.
Right. And Rhea Seto's like number two, and she missed a ton of time before she came back and then missed more time. Right. So, like, this is not a advanced four wrestlers, but they went out there and had the simple tag match that you kind of want them to have.
Hmm.
My biggest takeaway really from this match is that Rhea Seto and Riara should be paired together moving forward. I think they work well
Hmm.
together. I think they kind of have that familiar energy. And Rhea Seto, I talked about this a lot when I was talking to Alex on Stardom Quest this week, but I'm not reviewing these past weekend shows. There's just no reason to. We'll kind of just talk about anything that happened this weekend for Marigold within this review. Um, but I was talking about how Rhea Seto can take her performance from the Nanae match and now grow, right? Because the big
Hmm.
thing with Rhea Seto has always been she's fundamentally solid. She can
Hmm.
do the drop kicks, she can do the forearms, she can do the simple holds. Now she has to add more to her system, and I felt like this was a step in the right direction. Just a solid, fine tag match. Like, it's
Hmm.
nothing to blow you away with. It's not going to be a match that you probably go out of your way to see if you're crunched on time and you just want to see the big matches. But I do think it's, again, them making the strides in the right direction. I thought Ryoko looked good too. Yuki Minami's solid now. Like, she's
Hmm.
not bad. She's just unexciting. So
Yeah.
that's why people don't like attach to her. But she had a good performance too. So overall, a fine opener.
I don't have anything to add. You really hit everything. You really hit everything that I wanted to say because, like you said, it wasn't anything advanced. It was just a super solid opening tag.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, the rookie matches on Marigold are often kind of scary, and I think the thing is they have to do them out of necessity, just because the roster.
Yeah.
I won't speak too much about what goes on later on the show, but the roster traditionally is just not large,
Right.
and they're always dealing with some sort of injury, sickness that hurts
Mhm.
their depth, so they're doing them out of necessity. I thought this
Yeah.
one was super super solid. Like everybody here, I don't think anybody had a bad performance. It was just super solid, and I agree with you. I think Ray and Riara are a good team to roll with going forward. I think they have so much charisma, and they both have the willingness to get better.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of them adding as they go, like you said.
Right. Next up, we had Arena Yamanaka joining Marigold in a not in a like a full official sense. Like, she's
Yeah.
still going to be part of Best Body, but she is going to seemingly be on Marigold shows moving forward as a regular, which again is exciting. You add another wrestler to the mix. I've only heard good things about her. since the announcement by her. You know, you don't roll her out there to make this announcement if you don't like have belief in what she can do and where she's gonna go. Um, so that's exciting.
Yeah,
I think it's always exciting to get new wrestlers, especially when they're a bit trained before. You know, it's not just a brand new rookie or anything. So I'm excited to see what she brings to the table. And they showed her at the end of the United National title match as well. So
yeah, they showed her a
that's
few
always
times during that
important.
match.
Yeah, so that's always important, I think, to you know, they're dropping hints as to
Mhm.
what to expect maybe with her, but always good to see an addition here. And then next up we had Now Ishikawa
No, 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 no,
versus
no, 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 no. That wasn't the match. Come on.
it was the match
No, it was Gigaton, buddy.
versus Megaton. She went all in on the gimmick.
The nose
She's the
just kills me. I
she's the first person, by the way, to not get booed against Megaton, which I think, if anything, says again how over now Ishikawa is. I am pleading after this past weekend. She had a very good showing against Utami. I am pleading for her to get a big title match sometime this year,
hmm
just because she's so over. She's so good,
hmm
and it's been that way for months now. This isn't like something that's going away. This is very clearly something that the fans love. They love her, and she's able to fit into so many different roles. As you said when we were watching this show, she's the all-purpose player. Like,
hmm
right? She's all around. She can fit the comedy, she can fit the big match, she can fit the mid-card match. That's what she does.
hmm
And I feel like they only have two of those. It's her and Mariah, really.
hmm
And considering that she's in that consideration, it's a big deal. But she went all in on it. It was a very funny match. Got the job done.
Yeah, this match was hilarious. Like I want to be honest, like we can't possibly try to review this entire match because it's just
No,
impossible.
no.
It was a comedy masterclass. It was just so much fun, and as you said, I am also hoping that Now gets a big spot here soon because
Yeah.
the just the diversity she has to where she was a replacement in a Korakuen main with Sari
Yeah.
to facing Megaton in this comedy match. There's just so much
Mhm.
depth with her. Um, the fact that she's over and she continuously gets better, I think she's ready to make that stride. For a while there, she
Yeah.
was attached with Nanae, and since they just killed that for the Seri thing, I think she could branch out on her own and do her own thing now.
Yeah, and I think it should come back around. I think she should have a partner and
hmm
challenge Nanae as well. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I also think that for her, pinning a Mai Sakurai or Utami on a house show to get a title match is the perfect way to go. And I'm serious about Utami. Like, those two had such great chemistry that they can work off of. And Utami seemingly likes her just
hmm
based on the way she sold for her and everything. So I'd love to see that. But we can move on now here to Miku Ano, Natsumi Shizuki, and Chika Goto falling victim to the new and improved version of Dark Wolf Army. That, of course, is the Darkness Revolution. Nagisa Nozaki, Chiaki, and Misa Matsui. They officially formed the new faction, the first Marigold faction, this past weekend. So obviously very important, a big step in the right direction, I think, for the promotion as a whole to establish factions, because factions make everything easier.
100%.
Stories are easier. Um,
Title matches are easier.
Title matches are easier, and Darkness Revolution is the beginning of that. And they've seemingly, based on this show, put a lot in motion in terms of factions and everything, which is very exciting. I'll just say this: I love Darkness Revolution. They're great. They just got the vibe of like we're
Yeah.
chicken shit heels, and that's what we are. And you're gonna be fine with it, but we're also gonna piss you off, and that's what matters. Misa Matsui gets it. That's my biggest thing with Misa Matsui. She gets it. You saw her come out and she just embodied the heel. She's gonna be a jerk, and that's exactly what she's supposed to be. And for anyone that was worried, she's also winning. What an idea. I know it's shocking, but she is winning. She did pin Chikagoto to win the match after smashing her in the head with a steel chair. So she had a cheat to pin Chikagoto. I could see the anger in Xavier's eyes, but I thought this was a solid trios match to establish the new faction moving forward. And as you said, kind of when we were watching this match, like if they ever want to introduce trios belts, these three do make sense as champions.
Yeah, I was going to say first and foremost, if anybody knows me, it's historically that I am against all cheating in Hillary in pro wrestling. It's just not what I stand for. I am
Yeah,
a upstanding man who does not support cheating. Um, so the use of the chair against Chikagoto just made my stomach turn in ways you wouldn't understand. But I do love the Darkness Revolution. This is the perfect spot for Misa. I said it when she got kidnapped by Chiaki and Nozaki. I said it to you, and Dylan and Alex may have been there as well, where this is the best case scenario for Misa, because as good of a wrestler as she is, if you looked at the landscape of Marigold, she had no purpose as a face. There's just nothing for her there. Now, with the new attitude and as the primary Superfly wrestler in a faction, I think this makes her more important. So I'll be interested to see what they do going forward. It seems like they're not done with this whole Actress Girls versus Misa feud. So I want to see where that goes. I do like if they're gonna just start forming a bunch of factions immediately. I do like Aono Shozuki and Chikagoto sticking together.
Yeah, the actress crew.
Yeah, I just think there's so much diversity in those three alone, and you can add Koki whenever she's back if you wanted to. It's just a matter of you really don't know what to expect until it happens, especially with the Darkness Revolution. They firmly cemented themselves as the top heel group, and they'll pick a fight with anybody. But this is only their first official show together, so we just got to wait and see what happens with all of them.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how they work now when we mix and match, of course, too. I know Nozaki's missing the show this weekend because she's on a different show. But it'll be interesting to see if they are willing to put all five together in the ring. I can see them do 4, and Megaton just doesn't wrestle too. I can see them do that from time to time. But it's exciting. It's exciting, and I think unfortunately for the actress crew, they're very good at being the first to face
the
them.
babyface losers that have to fight back up. Also, will say Psycho Speed is a bar. That is a great nickname.
Yes. Misa Matsui is now going by Psycho Speed as well as the new Kawaii. So very, very fun for her. And I think it's very clear she's beating Victoria Yuzuki for the
100%.
Superfly as
100%.
the heel character, which is very exciting. I like Psycho Speed, though. That's a great name. And then next up, we had the number 1 contenders match for the Marigold World Championship. It was Mirai versus Bozilla. This one meant exactly as you expect, I think, kind of the way Utami went through Tank and did the Megaton match. It all was clearly leading to Bozilla eventually, but I do like that they did this match because it also continues the story of Mirai, who continues to come up short in her challenges. How did you feel about this match as Bozilla poor Mirai beat her around Korakuen Hall and then absolutely destroyed her with the power bomb to win the match?
I like this one a lot. It's probably my third favorite out of the top 3. However, I still thought this was a very good match. They just went with the simple monster heel versus babyface trying to overcome formula, and obviously it worked well with both parties involved. It's actually insane how good Bozilla got in that period of time where Marigold wasn't letting her do anything because she had already challenged for the red belt. She'd been in the United National match. She knocked out Seri from the Dream Star. Like, she had already gotten so much to that point that they cooled her off. And during that cool off period, she just got way better, just even better than she already was. Just building off of the Seri match.
I felt like she took that Sari, like you're saying, took that Sari match and just was like, oh, I can be here. And she's killing it.
It's almost like I said it to you, she had the Omos effect where she realized, okay, I'm a big, powerful wrestler, way bigger than everybody, but I don't just have to do that. I can actually wrestle and do other stuff as well. So I think that's also something that in the mind of most young wrestlers who are power wrestlers, probably just like, I can't really do much else. This is what I got to do. She seemingly cracked that. Like I said, where she does the German suplex toss into the cross arm breaker is just insane for her to be doing. And I'm trying to praise Bozilla a lot here because I thought she was just tremendous here, but Mirai did a great job as the babyface. The
Yeah.
crowd absolutely adores Mirai. She fails yet again in her quest to challenge or win a singles title, which I think is good because I mentioned to you, I think Mirai has lacked a suffering arc, and I think she needs that really before she spins back around and wins
Yeah.
one of the singles belts. Um, and I mentioned this to you. I mentioned this quite often that I thought Mariah and Utami might be the play for Summer Destiny, and it could be. But I don't know. I would kind of shift my opinion. Like I said, I was telling you when we were watching the last match that I would change my pivot and go Utami. I don't know, just because Utami's reign's been non-existent, so
Yeah.
I imagine
I
it's
don't know.
going to go
Could be
longer.
Shine Forever too.
Yeah, that too. Um, just because I think that whoever I think if Mirai challenges, she has to win. Is my point.
I agree.
And I think you got to let Utami run just because her
Yeah.
reign's been so non-existent. But the
Right.
both of those matches is going to be great for her because she went through the tank match, and obviously we should just not talk about it. And now she's been on the quest for the Twin Star. I think the Bozilla match is going to help her reign a lot. Get her
Yeah.
back on track where she needs to be.
Yeah, Brazil's gonna go in very strong. I think with Mirai, and I've been saying this, like I do treat her as the ace because I think that's just the
Mhm.
way she works in her overall matches. But I also think it's worth noting when it comes to Mirai and you talking about lacking the struggle story. In Stardom, she won everything.
Yeah,
That
for
was
sure.
that was essentially her story. Her first month, she had a World of Stardom title match. Then she won the Cinderella. Obviously failed winning the Wonder, but then got the tag belts 1 year later, gets the Cinderella, gets the Wonder. She won a lot. So I do think that there's something great to be told here with her not being able to have the same success because in the long run, she will have that success. She will be a world champion, and I think she'll have a great reign when we get there.
And
Bozilla,
not to talk too much because obviously we're not going to talk too much about it. But another thing with Bozilla winning, yeah, adding more stock into the Darkness Revolution.
exactly, exactly. So Bozilla will challenge Utami at the end of next month at the next Korakuen Hall show. That should be big time. Very much looking forward to that match. And then we had the semi-main event. It was Mai Sakura going one-on-one with Chanyota for the United National Championship match. I said going into this match, it doesn't need to be a barn burner. It doesn't need to be like this. Again, it just needs to be a great performance because we've seen Chanyota do the great performance.
Go
We've
ahead.
seen Chanyota do the great performance in the tag team match, right? We saw her have a great performance against Nanae Takahashi, but that's Nanae Takahashi. Can she deliver in a big
Mhm.
Korakuen match against Mai Sakurai? That was the big question now because I know these two are great as a team. Can they be great as opponents? And I thought overall they were very good as opponents. I thought Chanyota delivered the performance that you're going to walk away from. And I think it was Hasi that said this, and it was such a great point. For many people, this might have been the first time you saw Chanyota because Chanyota does not get a lot of coverage from different spheres, obviously being PvP Tokyo, right? But she does get coverage because Marigold gets plenty of coverage. And this might have been the first time. And I think people walked away from this thinking, okay, she is a name to watch. I thought she had such a good performance. I thought Mai Sakurai had her best defense so far. Obviously, it's only been two, but I really did like this match. We got the Chanyota headbutt that we were all waiting for, which is, she traps both Mai's arms, hits her with the headbutt, eventually hits her with Jack Harris. She didn't do it back to back, though. She would be the new champion if she did it back to
Mhm.
back. Mai Sakurai also just so good now. It's impressive what she's done in the past year. I just applaud her every time she has a match like this. Because, like I said to you a year ago, or if this was a year ago, but I said this to you during the match, this originally started as just a new blood match once upon a time in Stardom.
Mhm.
Like they just went one-on-one. And then they became tag partners, and then they had that tag match last year, and that's kind of when all eyes went to like, okay, hold on, what does Chanyota bring to the table? Obviously, my Sakurai's year last year speaks for itself, but now they have this match, and it feels like the tipping point of okay, now we can go to that next stage where we know Chanyota is great, we know
Mhm.
my Sakurai is great. Now we put them together, and they can be great together again. But a really good semi-main event here. I thought they did better than Mariah and Bozilla, which I did not expect going into this show.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the beauty of what these two bring to the table. Yeah, shouts out to Chanyota. I'm very excited because it seems like it's only beginning for these two as well.
Yeah, man. This is my second favorite match of the night. I went back and forth on what my match of the night was, but I put this at 2 just because there was so much that happened in the main. But I love this. My Sakurai, it's incredible how she went from a wrestler in Stardom who just wasn't good. Now, if you told me she's the best wrestler in Marigold, I wouldn't argue. I think she's the best champion easily in the company. It's just you can throw her whoever and she can produce something good, and that's crazy to think about.
It is.
I love Chanyota's performance in this one, obviously. Chanyota's just the perfect wrestler in a sense where nothing she does is smooth. Everything you see is so unpolished for the most part that it's just like, man, I love that. It makes her unique. And it's not like she's stumbling around or, being lost or anything. It's just that a lot of the stuff she does is unpolished and it just makes her stand out in a good way. And I just loved everything about it. They left it all out there. This was a big spot for Chanyota, and me and you talked
Our
about
biggest
this.
spot.
Yeah. Me and you talked about this during the match. This is one of the beauties of Marigold is where they basically went into a rebuilding stage when Julia went to America. And obviously now that Sari's temporarily not here, she'll be back eventually, but temporarily not here. They have been able to, be a little bit ballsy and try things out of the box. Like these two in a semi-main spot that's in Korakuen, that's a big risk, and they were willing to take it, and they knocked it out of the park. I love that they're going to continue on teaming together. And Mai said, I think Hasi covered it, where she wants to start a unit. And as something we were mentioning earlier, she asked Chanyota to keep fighting beside her, which Chanyota agreed to. And she also said that she's going to take a belt this year and shine the brightest in the Marigold ring. It kept showing Eric Yamanaka. So I'm assuming that's the 3 we're rolling with as far as the group, which I'm all for.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think the fact that this means Chanyota is going to be around is very exciting. I think the biggest problem after last year's incredible match and performance she had against Gori is that we didn't really see her wrestle after that, and that's because she did bodybuilding and all these
and
other
she went on
things.
hiatus.
Yeah, she went on hiatus, so it's understandable. But after the hiatus, she said she was committing to wrestling. And I've seen her more in the past month than I think I've seen overall Chanyota matches. So that's really exciting. It's really good to see because now alongside she can really sink her teeth in. I'm putting the tag belts on these two. I don't know when.
I think Chanyota's Dream Star run is going to be the greatest thing of all time.
That feels like a lock now, right? Like Chanyota is such a great addition. And again, it adds to the
depth.
To the continuous question of how much depth does Marigold have. Chanyota's the right kind of depth because she's right in that middle ground that can become higher ground very quickly, I think, with more reps. Because like you said, she's not a perfect wrestler. She'll never be a perfect wrestler, but that honestly makes her a perfect wrestler because nothing is perfect looking. Everything's a little bit rough, and that is why she's just so exciting to watch.
The reason she's just so imperfect is you see the hard work she puts in with every movement she makes in the ring. It's just you see that drive for her to want to be better. And I've said the whole time that I think one of the keys for Marigold should be to try bringing in these Joshi wrestlers and smaller companies to help them out with depth. And they're rounding out their depth nicely. You got Riara here, who's basically full time. She hasn't wrestled anywhere else besides Best Buy Japan. You have Yamanaka coming in. You got Chanyota seemingly agreeing to be somewhat full time. At least I don't know what her
we'll
see.
Like I guess. Right. We'll see how much.
But and then you got you got the good additions of the rookies growing. You have, of course, you're waiting on Kazuna to get back. You're waiting on Naho. You're waiting on so many people that whenever this roster fully takes form, it's going to be special.
Yeah, there's a conversation to be had with Marigold, which I think is fascinating where, you know, there are people that don't like that the two rookies in the main event are getting pushed as much as they are. I'm a big fan of it because I think that's what Joshi needs is rookies
That
getting
and it's a
pushed like that.
necessity. It's
It is a
something they need.
necessity.
They're like
Right.
good enough to where it works.
Yes, it does work. And there's also the idea of like how many like while you push them hard because I think they are that caliber of talent, you do have a
It's
bunch
just a
of other
matter
rookies
of
like
I think it's just a matter of if you're not pushing them, since you have such a problem with it, who can you
right.
push to that level? You don't have a
Exactly.
lot in your main event scene as it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think everyone is getting pushed. Well, I hope these two do form a faction. I think
Mm-hmm.
them with Arena would be good. I think that's an exciting kind of trio and an interesting trio. But yeah, anytime we get my Sakura and Chanyota in the ring together again, we're going to be very much into
Mm-hmm.
it because they're a great tag team. And I think that's the direction to go moving forward. But Chanyota, great job, great performance. But let's talk about what I thought was indeed the match of the night. And that, of course, was the main event. Nanae Takahashi and Seri Yamaoka, the Passion Family. They said it. So we're calling them the Passion Family from here on out. They faced Utami Hayashishita and Victoria Yuzuki. I mean, I don't know how many times I'm going to come on this show in a year span and praise Victoria Yuzuki, but I'm just going to keep doing it because if I don't do it, not enough people are. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's enough praise to give to someone who is a year and 3 months into her career and is continuously putting on these big performances. Uh, you know, she may not have the super rookie name, and I
Mm-hmm.
understand why because I'm watching her opponent, who is the super rookie, wrestle in like her 12th match and deliver performances like this. Um, but I mean, if you're a Marigold fan, you have to be so excited for what these two are bringing to the table. They're not hesitating on this is the big rivalry of the future for this company. They're going right into it, right? Because I think for many times, if you watch really any wrestling company, people pick them out, right? They're like, for example, with like WWE, people pick out like Braun Breaker
Mm-hmm.
and someone, right, to be great rivals. It's like, okay, who is that someone? Um, you do it with really any people did it with AEW long ago with MJF and Hangman, and they're just getting that match at Revolution now.
Mm-hmm.
It's never happened, right? But in Marigold, this has been the match. This has always been the matchup. Once Seri Yamaoka was called the super rookie, everyone said, oh, she's got a rival, and they're going right to it. So let's talk about the match itself. Nanae Takahashi, Utami Hayashishita leading their teams into this match, but it ultimately was about the other two in the end. Nanae Takahashi beat the bricks off of poor Victoria Yuzuki. And there is
Hey, come
something
on, man.
there.
Yuzuki was being mean and drop kicking her in the knee. I've seen the knife
Yeah,
off,
well,
and that's just not fair.
to be fair, it happened first. Nanae was doing it first. I was watching Nanae kick poor Yuzuki in the face when she was trying to get to the ropes.
My
It was
monitor
nasty
went out. I don't
business.
know what you're talking about.
Like, that was great.
Uh,
Nanae's so good. It's such a shame she's retiring. I get it because again,
yeah.
like
Well, I
Misa
imagine she'll
nod,
still
she's
be
old.
involved with the
Yeah,
dojo, which is what we need. Everybody
yeah.
needs passion.
Everyone needs passion. She was good, but I actually the main thing that really jumped out to me in this match was actually the opening between Yamaoka and Yuzuki. It was so smooth and impressive, and I think with Yamaoka, the thing that stands out the most is how good she already is at the difficult parts of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she's doing transitions, and again, this is her wrestling background, so it's not that shock. But she's training with Shinya Aoki now. Like
Yeah.
there's a reason for this, right? That's his entire thing. And you know, when she got into that the double leg, you know, submission that she
Yeah.
does, I was just like,
It was
who
just
else is
fluid.
doing that? It was, and I think Yuzuki's very good at doing that with her. You know, the funny part about this match, and it wasn't really a shock because of who's on her team. Utami and Nanae both took back seats
Mm-hmm.
for the rookies in the end, but I thought they filled in the gaps well too
Mm-hmm.
because you wanted to see Utami in there with Seri, you wanted to see Nanae in there with Yuzuki. I thought both tag teams also had a good amount of tag team moves, which was
Yeah.
nice. Tag team moves are very simple; they're just assisted whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they hit an assisted air raid crash.
Yeah.
Um, what was the move that? Oh, the one that Yuzuki and Utami are trying to
Oh,
do,
the
which
missile
is
drop kick into the German.
yeah, that one's crazy. That one's crazy. It works on certain wrestlers. This one,
Yeah.
it looks stiff. Like
I
when
think Utami should have just had her up
yeah,
for the Everest and then let her
yeah.
drop kick her into it.
When Seri took that, she just like dropped like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh, that did not look fun. But like, it's impossible to recap everything that happened in this match. So much happened in this match, but ultimately it came down to Yuzuki and Seri Yamaoka. Seri Yamaoka got planted with a suplex. Nanae saved the match by taking out poor Tommy, which is the pop of the match. She was like,
Oh my
I'm not
god.
getting to them. I'm
She
taking out the
mowed
ref.
over Tommy. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It was hilarious. No offense to her. Suri Yamioka comes back and pretty much turns Suzuki inside out with a suplex and hits another suplex before using the move that was given to her by Shin Yaoki, which was the full Nelson pin to
Aoki
win
clutch,
the
baby.
match, which was great. This match was great. One of my favorite tags of the year so far. And again, it's unfair how good Seri Yamioka is this early in her career.
I said it to you. The most dangerous thing that could have happened, and that was her getting in the lab with Shinya Aoki. Nanae Takahashi wasn't enough. She had to go train with Shinya Aoki, and Marigold has just crafted this technically sound demon walking danger, and it's very scary because one, I love the Aoki clutch, so her winning with it got me good. I think it's a nice add to her German finisher, especially the way she goes into the pin. I think it's a great addition to it. But it's just the perfect person for her to work with all the stuff she wants to do. She wants to utilize her wrestling background to the fullest.
Yeah.
And Aoki's been a person that shows that taking it to the mat can lead you to great success in the world of pro wrestling. It's just all about how you use it. Like you said, I love that Nanae and Utami took a back seat. I funnily enough, like I said, I think Utami's just a way better tag wrestler than a singles. Like she just flourishes whenever she's in the tag role. I think her and Nanae did a great job,
Yeah,
and
she took some crazy bumps for the
yeah, they did a great job of, like you said, filling in that middle spot that maybe the two weren't ready to do quite yet. Obviously, with that being said, like most of this match relied on Seri and Yuzuki, so I'm not knocking anything on them. It's just a matter they had to get in there. I loved everything about this match. It was the perfect main event. The Twin Star titles are the safest bet in Marigold because even if whatever you consider the worst Twin Star title match, still probably very good.
Yeah.
It's just the safest bet. You could. Oh, never mind. I lied. The first dream match was bad. It was not
Yeah.
good.
I was gonna be like,
But
I know what it is. And I'm just
yeah.
gonna let you
I
keep
kind of
going.
forgot about that. But other
Take
than that,
that one out. Every
yeah,
other one has been
yeah.
really good.
Marigold just has a very good house style when it comes to big tag matches. Like even their house show matches in the first few months leading up to Summer Destiny, when it was 2-on-2 matches, great. It's such a good trait to have. It's the safest trait to have is to have good tag wrestling, and the finishing stretch with Seri and Yuzuki was so good because this is the type of wrestling I like when I'm
Yeah.
watching Puro, Joshi, whatever. I understand people like the fluidity of some matches like a Kenny Omega, where a lot of the stuff looks like it was perfectly made in a lab. And I'm not knocking that because that is impressive. Like being able to have these smooth transitions, everything seemingly go correct the way you want it. It's great. But what I love from pro wrestling is just the grit, how everything looks like a fight. Like there's real hate in the ring. And that's what you got with Yuzuki and Seri. Like everything was gritty. And obviously, since they were piecing together the finishing stretch, it wasn't perfect, which I only think added to it. And, Seri was able to retain for the team. But I mean, hey, this isn't the end for them.
No, it is not. Tommy and Yuzuki confirmed after the match they will be a duo moving forward. This is not it for them. They
As
plan
far
to
as
be
I'm
a
concerned,
official
I
team.
think they're the biggest heels in Marigold. Because what did Kazuna do? She didn't sacrifice her back to be
I mean,
portrayed
it,
like this.
to be fair, I do think that if we are forming an Utami-led faction, her with Yuzuki and Kazuna makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a perfect trio right now. and I like it. And whenever Kazuna comes back, we obviously miss her,
Or
but it was nice to
Kazuna's
see her at the
joining,
show.
or Kazuna's joining Darkness Revolution and stancing up.
The nicest person ever that you could
Yeah,
just tell is like just
yeah.
a pure soul. But anyways, after the match, Nanae and Seri um, celebrated. One of the more important things was Seri said she wants to face Yuzuki one-on-one now, so they are not hiding away from it. So
Yeah.
Seri and Yuzuki probably going to be a
Superfly title match.
Superfly match, maybe on the Shinjuku Face show. That's in
Hmm.
the midway between that and the Korakuen, because I'm going to guess they want a twin star tag on the next Korakuen as well. That seems to be their
Hmm.
bread and butter for those shows, which I'm not upset with. I love their twin star matches, like you said. Bozilla came out, go face to face with Utami, so we were locked in for that. But the most important thing of the entire post match was as Nanae Takahashi screamed passion to the world, as she always does, she realized that in the balcony was the marvelous roster,
Hmm.
including Chigusa Nagayo. And she's like, you guys have to scream now too, buddy. Which creates the question of, is this the beginning of marvelous involvement between
I
the two
think so.
companies? And for the love of God, if you listened to my interview with Hayan, you heard, we talked a ton about Marvelous and everything about that and the incredible roster they have. I mean, I hope in my heart of hearts that Chigusa Nagayo sees Suri Yamaoka, sees her top rookie in Senka, and says, we need to make this a thing. Because it's very apparent who two of the best rookies are
Hmm.
in the game, and it's those two. Yuzuki, I don't even really consider a rookie anymore.
Hmm.
So, she's a year in, good enough.
But of
But
course,
like,
this all had to happen when Mio gets hurt. So.
yeah, I was like, of course it's happening every time. Like I can never get the Mio Momono involvement here. But I think if Marvelous does get involved in any which way sooner rather than later, that would be great. I'd love to start it with a twin star match,
Hmm.
honestly. I think
I
that
would
would make the
love for
most
them
sense.
to fill slots in the Dream Star if they want to expand the field to 10.
That would be great. Like I understand we're not going to be doing Utami and Takumi, and that's fine, even though they both very much continuously ask for it. We can't do that. They're both champions. We're not.
Hmm.
I don't need a 30-minute draw. Um, so what I think is a good idea is I think maybe you have Takumi and like Sanka challenge for the twin star belts, right? You kind of have the
I was thinking Rico challenges Utami. Utami or
that's
Mai.
also real.
Yeah.
Rico challenging would be real. Mio Momono should challenge when she comes back. Um, Maria, you can do Magenta for the tag belts. There's a lot of possibilities that, again, just kind of bolsters the excitement of these shows and Marvelous shows, because I do think if this becomes a reality, that they should be sending some of their wrestlers as well,
I
because
can't
I
wait
think
for
reps are good.
everybody to be like pitching all these big matches, and me and Dylan are tweeting about when is Chagayo Nakashima getting involved, because this is where we're at, baby.
That'd be real. That'd be real. But yeah, I'm just overly excited about what Marigold has going forward. It's hard not to be. There's factions bubbling up, there's duos bubbling up, official things
Hmm.
like that. So this was a very good show for them. They're kind of continuing this slow growing period right now, really, since the Shinjuku Face show where Yuzuki and Matsui faced off. I think that was the
Hmm.
start of all this, obviously, with Matsui kind of getting taken by the Dark Wolf Army, and now here we are. They're the full heel faction. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they bring to the table over the next month as they build to that Korakuen show. They got a month and a half to build towards it. So hopefully by the time we get there, maybe we are really crushing it. So overall, really enjoyed this show. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Um, no, I mean, I'm very happy with pro wrestling right now.
Yeah,
This
me too.
shows another add on to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, couldn't be more happy with how things are. I'm excited for Marigold's future going forward. They set up so much stuff, which is all I wanted to see was them just set up a direction and follow that direction. Um, as for me, I'm always happy to be here talking about Joshi wrestling whenever I get the chance. So yeah.
That's what we do.
Um, if y'all want to find me on Twitter, it's Xaviism with 3 eyes because they won't let me have the app with 2 eye. And you can find me on Xaviism with 2 eyes on Blue Sky. I just post a bunch of random stuff. I'm gonna be posting more content. I'm actually reviewing the show with Beth tomorrow because she because there's nothing going on this week, so we needed a show to watch. So I'm interested to see what she thought about all this. And I mean, I kind of only want to watch Kenta matches these days, but you can follow me and see what I'm
You're
up
very
to.
happy with pro wrestling because Kenta. Anyways, thank you everyone for listening. If you're on the audio version, stay tuned. The Hayan interview is coming up next. I'll have that entire interview on that. If you are watching on YouTube, hello, you can go over and watch that if you want to. If you haven't seen it already, if you already have watched it, watch it again. I like the views. I appreciate it. Now, in all seriousness, thank you so much. Next week, we'll be back to talk Path of Thunder, as the three sisters all are in title matches over in Stardom. We'll talk about anything else that comes up as well, because Joshi is a wonderful, wonderful thing that just keeps going and going and going. So thank you, Xavier, for joining me. And until next time, everybody, so long. Enjoy the interview.